2016 Lexus ES and ES Hybrid. It's next level luxury. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide.
It's a cool, crisp evening in Chicago. Astros wrapping up a 7-day road trip, 7-game road trip where they're playing 500 ball. And in the way of a winning road trip for this club right now is the left-hander Chris Sale on the mound for the Chicago White Sox, who's been unbeatable this season. There is some Astros in this lineup who've had success against the very tough American League pitcher. We're going to talk about who that is next, right here on Root Sports. Final game on this road trip. Astros looking to make it a winning one tonight, 3-3, and hoping to get their third straight win. It'll be a tough matchup for everyone in this Astros lineup, facing Chris Sale, one of the best pitchers in the American League right now. He's looking for his 9th win of the season, and it's May 19th. They'll be looking for the guy that leads things off, Jose Altuve, at the top of the order, who's hitting .338 this season. But check out his numbers against left-handed pitchers. .444 this season, couple of homers, 1,300 OPS. Altuve comfortable against anybody really when he's in that box, but especially against left-handers, and he's done this his entire career. And when you look back at the last couple of seasons of players against lefties, all lefties, we look from 2014 through 2016. Look at Jose Altuve at the top there. 145 hits against southpaws, 395 the average. You see the other names on that list. Pretty good hitters right there. He's the catalyst, he's the spark for this club, and they're going to need him against a guy who's tough against everybody, right, guys?
Thanks a lot, Julia. And yeah, it's not your standard lefty out there with Chris Sale going tonight. And we've talked about all the numbers, but with that 8-0 start, he is going to be really tough. Starting lineup now for the Houston Astros, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Jose Altuve, George Springer, and Carlos Correa. Middle three, Tyler White back in there. Marwin Gonzalez and Evan Gattis. And the bottom three, Luis Valbuena, Jake Marisnick in center. Tony Kemp gets a second start now in left.
Chris Sale on the bump for the Chicago White Sox. Outstanding numbers on the season. Here at home, he's got a 2.14 ERA. That average against him here in Chicago is a .153. He's extremely tough. He's got a good heater. Like we talked about, pitching to contact, and with him being in the zone, we'll see if the Astros can take advantage of those strikes.
Chris Sale took advantage of a wide strike zone with his first offering. Has a 1-1 count now on Altuve. The Condor Chris Sale. Been in the big league since 2010, 7th year now. And he has certainly established himself as one of the game's best. Despite winning just 13 games last year, 13-11, he was 4th in the Cy Young voting, 19th in the MVP balloting as that breaking ball stays away.
One of those sliders going around the plate. We'll get a look at it on our strike zone, brought to you by MD Anderson. That's where it crosses the plate. There you go. There's that 95. He can reach back and get it when he wants.
And you could see in that strike zone that we presented, not a pitch until maybe that last one in the strike zone. And yet the 2-2 count. So Altuve trying to get it going here in the first inning. Protects on a pitch just off that outside edge. Phenomenal numbers for Jose Altuve. Quarter of the way into the season, .348 batting average, .437 with the on base. Excellent slugging percentage. He stays alive on that slider. 9 home runs already, 6 of those leading off ball games. 6 times this year leading off the game with a long ball. He's done it 10 times in his career now. Leads the league in doubles. Leads the league in stolen bases. Rams the pitch to left field. Coming on is Melky Cabrera, and out number 1.
That pitch being in the zone actually might have surprised Altuve. Slider caught way more of the zone than I thought it would with a 2-strike count.
Well, the Astros hitters get a chance to see what Chris Sale is all about this year. And again, it is a change in philosophy apparently. Strikeouts way down from a phenomenal year last year. Again, struck out almost 12 per 9 innings last year. But that's not all that far from what he's done over the course of the career. 10.2 strikeouts per 9. This year down to the 8 mark. So quite a drastic change in his style. But you consider the stuff, Blummer, that Sale had last year to strike out 12 per 9 innings. And now this year he has dropped the hits per 9 innings from last year where it was at 8. Now it's all the way down to 5.3. So it is certainly working for the lefty. Springer able to back away, has a 3-1 count. Carlos Correa waiting on deck. The Astros making life tough on the Chicago White Sox. They've won the first 2 games of the series. The White Sox have now lost 4 in a row. Robin Ventura managing this club. And they got off to a terrific start. A.J. Hinch just trying to come up with ways to get this Astros club winning. And they're starting to do it as Springer puts it on the ground at third base. Frazier with the play, out number 2 here in the first inning.
Reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. And this is a look back on June 8th of 2015. Carlos Correa's first big league ball game. They had to go to review. He had to wait a little bit to see if he got that first big league hit, but they reviewed it. And of course it was his first big league hit. It's confirmation right here from Larry Vanover. Now you got to make sure you get the baseball. And he did. Big moment.
Following night, he would hit a tremendous home run here. His first in the major leagues. At 94 with that strike, Chris Sale gets in front. Sale, 27 years of age, 9th start of the year, 4th at home. Again, the heat and bumps it up to 96. Sale is on a career best 9-game winning streak, dating it back to last year. Correa puts it in the air down the right field side. Eaton toward the line makes the catch. That'll do it. A 1-2-3 first inning. Scoreless game after a half. Coming to bat here in the first. And that lineup for the Chicago White Sox. Adam Eaton in the top spot. He's off to a heck of a start on his year. Carlos Sanchez gets the start at second. At first base, Jose Abreu. Middle three, dangerous Todd Frazier, Melky Cabrera in left. Jimmy Rollins is at shortstop. In the bottom three, DH tonight, Jerry Sands, Alex Avila behind the dish. Austin Jackson patrols center.
On the mound for your Houston Astros, right-hander Colin McHugh. Making his 9th start in the season. Numbers are not all that great. He does get good run support, so maybe that's a good sign, but broke up a 3-game winning streak after that last outing at Boston where he took the no decision, going 6 innings, giving up 4 runs.
Gets ahead with that first fastball. He had beaten in those 3 games that Blummer talks about. Seattle, in Seattle, then Minnesota and Seattle again back at home. Last time out at Boston, it was 6 innings, 10 hit ball, 4 earnings against him. The Red Sox simply been a club that's been having their way offensively. 0-2 the count for Colin. Four and 3, but the ERA at 5.58. Good curveball. Kicks away from Evan Gattis, who does a nice job to block it and get the out. So a strikeout for Colin McHugh to start the night.
Check out Evan Gattis. Calls a breaking ball, moves over nicely, keeps it nearby, and makes a good play on it.
See what happens so often as the glove comes up. Balls will hit on the pads of the catcher's mitt and kick to one side or another. But like you say, Blummer, down nicely, and he's confident about the game behind the plate. He just said before tonight's game, about 3 hours ago, he just wanted to get this thing underway. He wanted to stop all the talk, all the consideration about how he was going to do tonight, and just get underway.
It's going to need an ice bath after this game. When was the last time he played in the field, period?
Of course, he had the minor league rehab, and he caught, what was it, 3-4 games while at Double-A.
That would be exhausting.
But I think he fully feels like he's ready for this, and it's not again like he's suddenly becoming a catcher. He did a lot of catching with the Atlanta Braves.
Coming into this game, he's only caught 127, or started behind the plate at 127 games. But he gets pretty small back there for a big guy.
Got a chance to watch him throw during the spring, and he's had some workouts over the course of the season. Got a decent arm behind the plate. He says he's okay as a throwing catcher. He doesn't rate himself as one of the top. But I think the okay might be understated a bit. Well spotted at the knees, well framed by Evan Gattis. And strike 3 called. A couple of strikeouts to start the night for Colin McHugh.
Stick this frame, Ash. Hold it right there. Give that umpire a good view.
Yes, sir. And well, he should. Good looking pitch from Colin. Yeah, so I think throughout the night we'll be watching Evan Gattis, but hopefully less and less so as the night goes on. You just kind of settle in and become that guy that does a fine job. McHugh starts it with a strike to Jose Abreu. One of the game's dangerous hitters. Abreu hitting .253, has 6 home runs now, hit 1 in the first of this 3-game series. 27 RBIs. Hit deep right field. Springer is back. He's at the wall leaping. And did he come up with it?
Holy
yes,
cow.
he did. George Springer has done it again defensively. And we'll be watching this, no doubt, over the next year, maybe years to come. George Springer, a spectacular play. Springer in right field, simply a play other right fielders can't make.
Just look at the route and how he stays with that baseball. He turned around twice and got back to that wall that has absolutely no give at all. As you check it out on Supermo, brought to you by Mattress Firm, you can see that that ball was clearly going over the fence, but unbelievable athletic ability from George Springer to be able to make that many turns, close on it, keep his eye on it, and leap above the wall to snag that thing. You got to be kidding me.
How many of these plays have we watched from George now in a few brief years in the major leagues? Really just phenomenal, not only in right field but in center field. I think of a couple of catches that we've seen him make. He is, as you said, just ultra athletic. For the Astros, Tyler White leads it off. Falls behind on the count, 0-2. Tyler White had a big opening night in this series, a couple of home runs and a double. Gets a piece on that fastball. Yeah, I think we're watching something very special defensively with George Springer in right field. You have to go a long ways to find highlights that from other guys can even kind of match what George does. 1-2 the count, and I know they're very proud of Adam Eaton here in Chicago. He's done a great job in right field.
We don't have to do that. George Springer's head and shoulders above him. I'm not going to do it. I appreciate you being kind to Adam Eaton, who is an excellent right fielder, but you've got to be kidding me with that play and all the plays we've seen. It's remarkable that he even got in position to even get a glove on.
Yeah, that's just simply phenomenal. Tyler White again fouls one off. 2-2 the count. Leading off here in the second inning. Spectacular athlete.
You think he understands how good he is?
I hope so. I hope that the desire is to fulfill the abilities that he possesses. Strikeout to start it now. White down on strikes. Marwin Gonzalez comes to the plate. What about you?
I'm not sure he understands how good he actually is. I mean, for me, it's, I don't know. I would imagine he's got to go back and look at the replay, because at the time when you're making plays like George is doing, I'm not trying to sound like I've done anything as incredible as that, but when you're in the process of making a play, you only care about one thing, and that's getting the baseball. So that's what makes me think that if he goes back and watches the video, he might actually appreciate what he just did.
Think of some of the great outfielders' names through the years, and of course we've seen Ken Griffey Jr. Now he falls in that category of being simply exceptional, head and shoulders above other outfielders. But the plays that George Springer is starting to throw together now fall in that same category.
I played with Mike Cameron, and I've said it for years.
Line drive hit to third base. Marwin is retired. Second out.
That he is one of the, I mean, Ken Griffey Jr. obviously hands down probably one of the best center field. Torrey Hunter, another name that comes to mind. But in playing with Mike Cameron, I developed a true appreciation for how well he played center field. And he would make some circus catches. We would be running back to the dugout. I'm like, do you realize what you just did? How did you do that? And he would just kind of shake his head like, hey, I just wanted to go get the ball.
Part of the program for a guy with that kind of ability. Evan Gattis stands in. He lines one into right field. Going back behind the plate, putting the gear on, doing the job. Does not take away from the bat. First hit of the night for either club.
There's Torrey Hunter hitting it. Guess who's robbing him? Mike Cameron out there in Seattle, going a long way. But I mean, he left out. He took off halfway up the warning track right there and robbed that home run. Could go back on the ball better than a lot of people that we know, and made it look easy too.
Now that's taking advantage right there of being able to lift yourself using the wall. That play George just made and the one last year in Arlington early on in the season, just, you know, there was no chance to gauge the wall, use it to be able to get up, just going after the baseball and making the play. Luis Valbuena at the plate. Look, we simply enjoy being able to watch it, and we're just as amazed as anybody else watching. Unique.
I mean, obviously we're a little biased because we get to watch the Astros on a daily basis, but that was, I was truly impressed by that play.
And that particular play, to me, the closest other play he's made to that one, the one in Arlington against the Rangers, saved the game at the time, and the Astros eventually won it. One defensive play like that can be all the difference in a game. Two the count on Luis Valbuena. The appeal, palms down at third base. Umpires for tonight's game: Adam Hamari behind the plate, crew chief Tom Hallion at first, Tony Randazzo at second. That was Dan Bellino with the palms down at third. Gattis on the move, strike three called, caught looking Valbuena, and that'll do it for the Astros in the second. A couple of strikeouts for Sale, still scoreless.
It's time for our Chevy Stroh poll. We're doing this early. Get on Twitter, check out Root Sports SW, and vote in the poll. Here's what we've got for each night. Which Astro had the coolest nickname? We did this yesterday and had a few choices for you, and then you got to Twitter and you told us a couple of your favorite nicknames. So Crazy Horse, Mike Cuellar, Big Puma, Lance Berkman, The Rocket, Clemens, Scrap Iron, Phil Garner. Which one do you like the best? We'll tell you who wins later. Guys.
Thank you, Julia. You have a quick favorite there?
No, the Big Puma one worries me.
Why is that?
It was so, he gave that nickname to himself.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Come on.
Well, he had a nice flair for the. It wasn't the obvious. What was it? It was. Todd Frazier at the plate has an 0-2 count. Colin McHugh picked up a couple of strikeouts in the first inning and then picked up some genuine help from George Springer in right field. Up the ladder with the Heat. That's nice to see Evan Gattis behind the plate, and looks very comfortable to me. Clearly, Colin McHugh seems to be in rhythm with him. There's that fine blocking effort. Get a couple of strikes. You can't let it get by. Frazier, Cabrera, and Rollins for these White Sox here in the second. Colin McHugh picked up a no decision his last time out. Ground ball right side, very tough for Altuve, and that throw not in time, but what an effort by Jose Altuve.
It's too far to range. Playing power hitting Todd Frazier closer to up the middle. Got a long way to go. Did a good job of getting there.
How about that throw?
Pretty athletic play. Yeah. You start spinning like that, you got to throw it back against your body. Good job letting that ball drift back to first base.
So nobody out. Leadoff single Frazier. Melky Cabrera at the plate. One more peek at Altuve and the magic he puts out there.
We're not able to put much velocity because all that momentum going out there towards the outfield.
Good curveball from Colin. 0-2 the count on Cabrera. Good start to his year. 300 batting average. Todd Frazier got down the line pretty well on that ground ball. And a foul ball at the plate. Cabrera just getting a piece. Cabrera's been a hot hitter here in the month of May, hitting .333. 8 ribbies, 8 runs scored in that span. Played in all 40 games for the White Sox this year. One ball, 2 strikes. Known as the Milkman, or in Spanish, Leche. Hails from the Dominican Republic. Colin McHugh has a notion that Todd Frazier could consider the running game. What are we looking at there?
It's the Milkman t-shirt they gave out.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Up the ladder and the pop fly on the left side. Valbuena drifting toward shortstop to make the catch. First out of the inning. It'll bring up the veteran Jimmy Rollins. Switch hitter. He'll stand in left-handed. Two more games at shortstop for Jimmy Rollins, and he'll tie Larry Bowa for 6th place in terms of games played at shortstop. Tonight being one of those games for Rollins. Made 28 starts on the year, and he scored in every one of those games. Excuse me, has hit second in every one of the games. Good looking curveball misses. Came the oldest opening day shortstop for the White Sox, going way back to 1949. Luke Appling was the previous oldest guy, 42 years of age. 1-2 the count. And Colin McHugh picks up another strikeout. Number 3 on the night, second out here in the inning.
Showing a good breaking ball in this ball game right now. Snapdragon having faith in Evan Gattis back there and keeping it front.
I think what we've been watching is right to that point. Full confidence in Gattis to keep the ball in front. And I imagine at some point we'll get to size up the throwing arm of Evan Gattis. But again, from what we've seen in drills, he's got plenty of arm. And I was very impressed before the game, his willingness to talk about the night, and really didn't seem like any jitters, just wanted to get at the business. Jerry Sands at the plate. Nice job on the curveball, and Colin does have a good one. 9th start of the year for Colin. Oh, that's perfect. Runner on the move as the pitch is fouled down the right side. Now, this hasn't been easy for Colin McHugh. You go out there that first start of the year, and for Colin it came in New York. Second game of the season for the Astros. The Yankees jumped all over him. There was a catcher's interference that set up that first inning, but he got just 1 out in that frame and allowed 6 runs, 5 of those earned. And so that sets up your season in a rough way. Again, Frazier on the move, pitch in the dirt. And no chance at all for Gattis. Stolen base now for Todd Frazier.
Still not bad. That ball well out in front of home plate. With the runner going right there, if that gets to the backstop, there might be an opportunity for Todd Frazier to take a look.
The 1-2. And Evan Gattis is getting plenty of opportunities to block pitches. It's one of the things you do as a catcher. You're not in there, and Evan, again, getting his first chance of the season. But you go block pitches and you throw to second base and you do all the things that leave confidence for the skipper to put you in there. Line to right field, down the line, slicing to the seats. Jerry Sands, 28 years of age, just in his 16th game of the season. Has 1 long ball and 5 RBIs. Frazier saying to his third base coach, keep an eye on the shortstop behind me. Let me know if he tries to sneak in behind.
It's been an interesting series as far as shifts are concerned. I really haven't recognized that the Astros have really put on that many shifts as opposed to what they were doing in Boston.
And now a full count. First base is open as the left-hand hitting Alex Avila, veteran catcher, waits on deck.
That's a pretty standard defense for the Houston Astros.
Three-two, lined into center field, base hit. Here comes Frazier to the plate. The throw from Marisnick cut off. And the Chicago White Sox strike first, lead it 1-0. RBI single for Jerry Sands.
Good curveball down out of the zone. Sands just goes out and gets it off the end of the bat and has just enough to get it over the leaping arm of Jose Altuve. And with 2 outs, Todd Frazier off with the swing of the bat, scores easily.
No big 2-out hit to drive in a run. 8-hitter Alex Avila comes to the plate. Sands down at first base has not stolen a bag. You have to go back to 2011 when he stole 3 with the Padres, but was also caught 3 times. These White Sox 24-16 despite losing 4 straight, and first place in the American League Central. Regular catcher for Robin Ventura has been Dioner Navarro. So Avila getting a start tonight. A guy who was very accustomed to catching over 100 games a year for the Tigers. In fact, he had done so for 5 consecutive years, starting in 2010 last year. Saw those numbers drop off, just 67 starts. Colin McHugh trying to get a big out to end the second. Avila last year hit just 191.
Felt like every game I watched Alex Avila play for the Detroit Tigers, whether it was during the regular season or postseason, he was constantly getting foul tips to the mask. Just a glutton for punishment back there. Some backswings get him.
You know what I also noticed with him is an underrated throwing catcher. Really threw the ball well.
I thought he was a great catcher. Yeah, he handled some good staffs in Detroit when they were winning.
Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. 2-2 pitch. And now it's filled, and that puts the runner, Jerry Sands, at first base in motion. Leadoff single here in the second inning by Todd Frazier comes around to score. And the stolen base factors in. And Avila, through his now 8 years in the major leagues, has shown plenty of power through the years. Topped out at 19 dingers back in 2011. Runner goes, the pitch lined on a hop. Nice play, Altuve. He'll go down and get it, get up and throw out Avila, and that'll do it for the Chicago White Sox in the second inning. They get a run and lead it 1-0.
It's the top of the third. The Astros face off against their in-state rivals, the Rangers, in a 3-game set this weekend from May 20th to the 22nd. On Saturday, May 21st, 10,000 fans will receive a Lone Star Series t-shirt presented by AT&T. And then on Sunday, May 22nd, 10,000 kids will receive a bat and ball play set presented by Chevrolet. For tickets, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. All kinds of goodies in that 3-game set. But what the Astros are focused on right now is getting a win right here in Chicago before heading home. They're 3-3 on this road trip with a chance to have a winning road trip and a chance to win 3 in a row, something they haven't done all season. And a road sweep would be their first since April of 2015. A long time for this group that struggled on the road for the past couple of seasons. But for this team to play the way they've been playing in the month of May and on this trip, especially bouncing back from what happened in Boston and a couple of games that got away from them, it does help the mentality, feeling like they're playing a little bit better, feeling more comfortable out there. The vibe is a little bit better in the clubhouse. All good signs are hoping to finish this one on a high note before heading home to Houston, guys.
Thanks a lot, Julia. And yes, it would be very nice to be able to do all of that. By the way, the 2-game winning streak, the 3rd time they've turned that trick this year. Doesn't sound like much, but it's part of getting things turned around now. And the Astros slowly, but hopefully surely, trying to do just that. Jake Marisnick leads off, the 8-hitter. Be followed by Tony Kemp and Jose Altuve. Tough assignment, trailing early against Chris Sale. Oh, 0-2 fastball misses away. For Jake Marisnick, the batting average at 114. And that big sweeping slider stays away. Sale to the plate. Stays at 2-2 on Jake. Marisnick in center field tonight. And one of the game's outstanding center fielders. If he finds that bat, he can be one of the game's best out there. But down on strikes as he starts things here in the 3rd inning. 3rd strikeout for Chris Sale. It'll bring up Tony Kemp. Our delivery of the game is delivered to you by Jimmy Johns. Tony Kemp last night, base hit in his first major league at bat. But this is the play where he got a big out at second base. Adam Eaton had sliced one down the left field line. Tony Kemp got the out at second, and that led to a big night for him. Tony Kemp comes to the plate with 1 out. Shows bunt, taking up an in.
Yeah, who would have thought he'd get tested that early in his big league career on a base hit down the line?
That test was really passed too. Just an integral part of the Astros victory over the White Sox last night. Colin Moran also picked up his major league debut along with Tony Kemp last night. In terms of being a starting player, Kemp slices one foul. We mentioned it last night. It was not the major league debut last night for Tony Kemp. It was his major league debut as a starter. And his first major league at bat. He had come on the night before as a pinch runner. 1-2 pitch. Slider, and he hangs in there nicely. That is not easy.
Not at all. Left on left. First time he ever faced Chris Sale.
What was the advice that A.J. Hinch had for him tonight?
He had a great one. I think they actually had a soundbite of him saying, "Get small." Give him a small strike zone to throw at. Crowd the plate, put on some body armor.
Chris Sale drops down and brings 96
why not?
up in the zone, and Tony Kemp just casually lays off. 2-2 on the slider, a tapper right side. Kemp sprints down the line, but not enough. He's retired. Second out here in the inning. And back to the top with leadoff man Jose Altuve. Altuve has hit safely in 10 straight. Flight out to left field to start the first inning. Wouldn't you love to project those numbers throughout the season for Jose Altuve? Ground ball to short. Jimmy Rollins with the play, and that'll do it. A 1-2-3 third inning for Chris Sale. Breezing through 3, leads it 1-0. Third inning on a gorgeous evening here in Chicago. Tonight's Fan Cam is presented by GulloAuto.com.
An Astro fan.
It's good to see that orange in the stadium. Seemed a little underdressed in that sun that was out here earlier, where it was quite nice during the day, but now the sun's going down, the wind's starting to kick up a little bit. Get those layers on.
Yeah, it is not Houston, Texas. That is for sure. Another cool evening. 1-0 White Sox. 9-hitter Austin Jackson at the plate. Tapper past the mound. Carlos Correa comes on and makes the play. Throws on the run to get the out. 1 up, 1 down in the third. Hearing some describe it as balmy. Not sure I'm in agreement with that one.
A little more on the crisp side.
You're going to go that way? Yeah. Last night got more than crisp.
Balmy. Yeah, last night was a little more balmy at 50.
50. By the end of last night's game, I would call it more like about 36. I'm not sure what the actual numbers were. But it wasn't ideal baseball weather. Who was number 40? I noticed the fan there wearing the Astros jersey with number 40 on the sleeve. Does that ring a bell for you?
I am not entirely sure. Might have been a 48th anniversary. No,
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. That looks like a legitimate tribute to somebody.
It does.
I'm sure Twitterverse will let us know. They do on everything else.
Her ball is tapped back to the mound. Colin McHugh with the play. Second out of the inning.
Kick off your weekends at Minute Maid Park every Friday home game with the best fireworks show in town. The next fireworks show is tomorrow night and is Texas country music themed. For more information, visit Astros.com/fireworks or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Talk about the pictures that come in from Twitter. Young man from Puerto Rico providing us with this. Houston Astros. Thanks, Carlos.
That is good to see. Some Carlos Correa fans, I'm sure.
And we love our Astros fans wherever they happen to be. Carlos Sanchez at the plate. One of the 2 strikeout victims.
Number 40.
You got it.
Was brought to us by Bobby Dynamite, the train conductor at Minute Maid Park. Don Wilson Memorial Patch.
Oh,
thank you very much for that, Bobby. Good hearing from you.
the 1-1 popped up shallow in left field. And the catch made easily as Carlos Correa able to make that play. 1-2-3 inning for Collin McHugh.
For the Houston Astros as we head to the top of the 4th inning. Academy Sports and Outdoors and the Houston Astros are hitting home runs for Houston. Benefiting Houston Children's Charity, the home runs in May. George Springer, number 1 on that list with 5 in the month of May. Still a couple weeks left. Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, and Jason Castro on that list.
Well, let's see if George Springer can add to it. He's already made the defensive play of the game, maybe of the season, robbing a home run in right field from Jose Abreu. Springer with the big swing as he taps it foul. It's Springer, Correa, and Tyler White here in the 4th. And the Astros getting a taste of what Chris Sale has been about this year. He struck out 3. But generally the ball put in play. Sale just having great impact on the game. The only hit for the Astros picked up by Evan Gattis.
Tough. Trying to square balls up off this guy, Chris Sale.
There have been. Was that slider grounded foul?
No, I was just going to say one of the pitches that we don't talk about was that first one that George Springer swung at was a changeup from Chris Sale. He has a great changeup to go along with that nasty slider that he has too.
Does he use that in kind of changeup counts, those 2-1 counts where guys will get dead red?
I think so, and I think it's in those counts where guys are aggressive, like you're saying, Ash, on the fastball, pull the string on it a little bit. You see it right there at 87 miles an hour is that changeup. And I agree with you. I know for a fact in my career 1-0 and 2-1 were definitely changeup or off speed counts for sure.
So when I see an 0-2 changeup, that tells me a guy believes that it's a strikeout pitch as well. That fastball finds the inside edge in the assessment of Adam Hamari. First out of the inning, and 4 strikeouts now for Sale.
I think he's wrong. Ooh, Seam caught it. Tough pitch and a 2-strike count.
Well, that is just spotting it perfectly. Carlos Correa comes to the plate. And it's kind of too early to assess, but Chris Sale's making it look easy, and I get the impression that's kind of what the season through 8 starts has been like. Starts you with the breaking ball.
I mean, and we talk about pitching to contact. His stuff is nasty. Why doesn't he just say, I'm just going to throw more pitches in the strike zone that are filthy?
Turns to that changeup. The little slow roller goes foul. 0-2 the count.
Because when you've got 96, a slider from, you know, Hades, and a changeup to go with it, are you really pitching to contact? You're putting a little too much regard in the hitters being able to square up some of your nasty pitches.
Of course, Chris Sale has watched the Astros win the first 2 games of the series, and maybe he's thinking to himself, not going to happen with me on the hill. Oh, 2 on Carlos. Slider. He's kind of jammed himself. Rollins with the play. Second out.
Jack in the Box takes us inside the box score. Look at some of those in-depth numbers on Chris Sale and what he's doing compared to last year in 2015. The fastball use is up, getting ahead early with the heater. First pitch fastball, there it is, 70.5%. 2-strike fastball is up too. He's just aggressive with that pitch, but I think at 92, when he starts off the hitter with it in the zone, gets to 2 strikes, he's able to reach back like we've seen a couple times and hit 96, 97 for a good strikeout pitch.
Tyler White, first pitch swinging, pops it up on the right side. Alex Avila makes the catch. And there's another 1-2-3 inning. Third one of the night turned in by Chris Sale. Through 3.5, it's 1-0. Pale Hose.
We're going to look at our Lexus defensive rankings, and the reason we are is because Abreu tested George Springer, and George Springer was more than up to the task, launching himself up in and over that wall to make that grab on a Jose Abreu potential home run. We know that teams are not going to run on him. They may try and direct the baseball away from him now.
Well, you were talking about the way George turned a couple of times to make that play, and that just makes the play tougher and tougher each time you turn and you have to change directions. That could be And it's quite a list of plays that he's made to this point in the big leagues. Could be as tough as any he has made to this point.
Yeah, the one that we keep talking about is that one in Texas, but the bases were loaded, so that was an incredibly high leverage type situation, a game-changing type play. But that play right there, as far as superstar type play, that was one of them.
0-2 on Abreu. Fastball sails and hits off the glove of Gattis. Last April. Look how far he came from.
And again, just launching himself, only worried about one thing, and that's catching the baseball. Could care less. The ball was that close to him, and just, that was incredible.
You know, watching that play from last year, George never turned himself around at all. And as he went back, he had a beat on the ball. Now, it was a great athletic play. But tonight's with the turns in there and then that final adjustment at the end to make the play, maybe tougher. Right on the hands, grounded. Tyler White will make the play. On to Colin McHugh. And the first out here in the fourth inning. Again last year.
Truly great stuff. Don't run on Jake. Don't run on George. Found out you might have to change that light to red on Tony Kemp after that great play he made down the line. He was tested. That's what teams do when they get a rookie out there. They test him, see what he's made of, see if he can make the play. The more you make the play, the more likely you are to change the color on that little yellow dot. Get that red light up.
Todd Frazier at the plate. Came up with a base hit as he led off the second inning, even stole a base and scored the only run of the night. Scored on the 2-out single by DH Jerry Sands. Taps the curveball foul. Todd Frazier is the guy that people involved with the White Sox will tell you is kind of leading this club. He's the presence in the clubhouse, takes it out on the field, and has taken guys in the right direction.
It's a pretty good power bat pickup.
I'll tell you what, Evan Gattis is just being steadily challenged behind the plate. He's a very honest guy. You chat with him and you'll get a genuine answer. High fastball fouled back by Frazier. The lights really now just starting to take full effect at the ballpark. The sky hasn't fully darkened yet. But a larger crowd than we had seen each of the last two evenings. Got to get that T-shirt, right?
Absolutely.
Right on up the ladder, another level, and the strikeout of Frazier. That's number 4 on the night for Colin McHugh. We check in with Julia.
Thanks, Ash. You alluded to it earlier. Evan Gattis just wanting to get back behind the plate, show he can do it after all this talk, all this work that he's done. But as far as catching McHugh tonight, AJ said that it was just as much about facing Chris Sale as it was getting behind there to face McHugh. As for when he catches from here on out, they'll have to see how tonight goes, but he does like to give Castro those days off. He doesn't like Castro to catch 4 days in a row. He said you may not see him until Baltimore, but you could possibly see him Saturday night against the lefty for Texas, guys.
Thank you, Julia. Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see how he does get used as a catcher. McHugh gets in front 0-2 on Melky Cabrera. Mentioned back his first at bat, Cabrera, that one of the names he's known by is Leche. Yes, we get the word and we appreciate it. Leche means milk, not milkman, as he's also known by. Lechero would be milkman, but Leche is the nickname that some of the guys will call him. Valbuena with the play. That'll do it as Colin McHugh gets through 1-2-3 in the 4th inning. To the 5th we go in a 1-0 Chicago lead.
White Sox lead 1-0 over Houston here in the top of the 5th. Marwin Gonzalez coming to the plate. Doing some good things. That was that walk-off laser beam to right field that last game in Minute Maid Park. But in the month of May, swinging the bat well, getting a little more playing time at the corners, third base and first base, but he's been swinging the bat incredibly well right-handed. If you remember, there were a couple of left-handers he got the start against, got some knocks, some big hits. Also faced the knuckleballer Stephen Wright, hitting right-handed, got a couple of knocks off him too, and those numbers climbing at 293. In the last 2 seasons, guy also has 7 home runs against lefties. But a versatile player on defense with multiple positions, but switch hitting has also benefited Marwin Gonzalez and the Astros.
Yeah, we did see that home run hit from the left side, but I don't know if I will speak for you. For me, this right side of the plate is clearly the power stroke side.
Yeah, I agree.
And yet that one dinger on the season hit left-handed. Chris Sale has been utilizing the changeup quite a bit. He's really mixed up the pitch as well tonight. We saw the percentages on the season more fastballs than he had in previous years, but tonight kind of a general blend of offerings. Fastball hit on the ground, backhanded by Abreu. On to Sale, and out number 1.
Yeah, you look at the pitch usage from last year to this year. The fastball jumps a good 11–12%. The changeup is actually down. So he's relying a little bit more on the fastball slider, but we've seen some great changeups tonight from him.
And it's one of those pitches that, you know, when you feel it, you throw that first one of the night, all of a sudden it feels good. You say, well, I'll try that again, and then it comes out well. So you start to use it. It's also a pitch that when you throw your first one poorly in the dirt, you kind of can it. You're done with it for the night. How many guys have you played with through the years that in spring training said, I'm going to work on the changeup a lot this spring, and by opening day, you never see it again?
Yep, that has happened quite a bit.
Slider stays away on Gattis. The only Astros base hit of the night picked up by Evan Gattis. He's hit in 3 straight. It's on the ground to short. Jimmy Rollins has been busy as he gets the second out. But 2 quick outs. Luis Valbuena comes to the plate, and boy, in watching Sale right now and everything we've heard through the first 8 starts, he's making life a lot easier for himself this year.
It's got, what, 6 ground ball outs now?
Then you can see with that slider that guys are going to swing over the top. That changeup as well. That fastball is simply tough to get to when he wants to hump up. I don't know. Would you make any reasonable comparisons with Randy Johnson, Chris Sale being that guy?
I think you could. Randy Johnson didn't have a changeup. Tried to throw a split finger a little bit later in his career, but he was primarily fastball slider. But he had 2 variations on that slider. The slider he would throw before 2 strikes was a little more of a get me over that you could pick up a little bit sooner. Had a little more of a hump in it. It came up out of his hand. Whereas when you got to 2 strikes, he was going to throw you this just turbo nasty slider down and in. It was tough to pick up, and you didn't have much time to see it because he was releasing it what felt like 20 feet away from him.
Of course, Randy Johnson, also that guy that left-hand hitters just simply didn't even want to be associated with. And I think Chris Sale falls in that category as he strikes out the left-hand hitting Luis Valbuena. A 4th 1-2-3 inning of the night. 5 strikeouts for Sale. Houston Astros baseball on Root Sports is presented by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jack in the Box. Taste the Jumbolicious Jumbo Meal before it's gone. Only at Jack in the Box. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, donating $100 for each Astros home run and $200 for each Correa dinger. That all going to Houston Children's Charity. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning, 1-0 White Sox. They picked up a second inning run. RBI single Jerry Sands, who will bat second here in the inning, as the first pitch from Colin McHugh is fouled on the left side. Make that second pitch. It's already 0-2. Jeff Blum picking me up here in the 5th inning, as he does so often. Rollins hitting .235. Good curveball for the strikeout. And Colin McHugh has had a good one tonight. That's 6 strikeouts. Make that 5 for Colin.
It's the second time he's gotten Jimmy Rollins on this curveball. Ash was talking about when a pitcher feels that he wants to keep going back to it. Colin McHugh has a good breaking ball going right now.
Jerry Sands had that RBI single in the second inning. It drove home Todd Frazier, who started the second with a base hit. Sands hitting .256 on his year. Remember, you were talking about the more consistent straight up infields right now. We're looking at one very straight up for Sands.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. We watch enough of these games from our vantage point so we can see the entire field, and we've seen quite a bit of shifting throughout the last couple of years with the Houston Astros, and it shocks me more when I see him playing a traditional defense.
Fastball right on the hands from McHugh. Yeah, you're right. You look up at the field, and it is a little bit different look. The guys up the middle in particular, Correa and Altuve, have been playing a great defensive game. Not just tonight, but steadily. Jerry Sands is not a kid. There's Jose Altuve. He is still a kid, but he is starting to compile some amazing numbers.
He's a full-grown adult hitter.
He is that. Already a batting title. He's been a Gold Glove winner a couple of times. How about that? Front of the plate. Does that get the bottom of the knees?
That was almost too filthy to call.
I agree. Yeah. Well, it's one that you're going to get some barking if you do call it, but you can see, you know, the impact at the front of the plate.
A good location from Colin McHugh.
I always like to see the depth of the plate, because some pitches, breaking ball that's up, might not find the plate or the strike zone until it gets to the back part of the plate, and then you get that good curveball that finds the front. Full count, 1 out here in the 5th. Catcher Alex Avila waits on deck. Fastball finds the inside edge. Sands caught looking. Back-to-back strikeouts, 6 on the night for Colin McHugh.
Looked like a little bit of a cutter trying to get back on the plate, but benefits from the call. Take it.
And Evan Gattis holds that one very nicely. 2 outs. Alex Avila at the plate. There's the cutter right on the left-hand hitter's hands. Colin McHugh has been sharp tonight.
Showing good command.
Never easy when you're going up against a guy who's just been tearing up baseball, Chris Sale. But Colin has picked up one more strikeout than Sale on the evening, as that cutter stays just in. Ball and a strike. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. I wonder how Evan Gattis is going to feel ultimately about his night defensively. I think he's been really good, but when you have a whole bunch of curveballs in the dirt and you're kind of beating some away, you can feel like, well, I wonder if I'm really getting it fully done. I would say he's been just fine.
I agree.
3-1.
I think he's been doing well too, but I guarantee you the first guy he's going to ask about his performance is that guy right there and Colin McHugh.
Yeah, that's a good point. Everything okay for you tonight? And I wonder if that question has already been asked. A little high with the fastball. That's the first walk of the night issued on either side.
Treat employees, host clients, or bring your church or youth sports team to Minute Maid Park for an experience to remember with Astros group tickets. Visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS to reserve your group today.
Alex Avila not a threat at all to run down at first base. Austin Jackson at the plate takes a strike on that inside corner. Avila tried to run a few times 3 seasons back and failed in each one of those efforts. Think I should go? Okay.
I think Marwin's encouraging it.
Two balls and a strike. Next pitch from Colin will be number 80 on the evening. Marwin getting another start down at first base, and he's been good. Austin Jackson without a home run to this point this year. It's a pretty healthy hack, though. $20,096 on hand here this evening. Austin Jackson down on strikes. Colin McHugh gets 3 in the 5th inning, 7 on the night now, but through 5 trailing at 1-0.
hung in there as long as I could to fake you out.
Oh, wow, wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Julia's got 3 years and a month service time. Tony Kemp had all of 2 days service time, and the veteran let the rookie hang out to dry right there until the Gatorade splashdown could happen.
How do you feel? How do you feel about that? Is that right of a veteran to do?
It's hard as a rookie in the big leagues because you've got all those veterans in the clubhouse giving you a hard time. You know, you're getting them coffee, you're carrying their luggage. I mean, all these things are happening. Tony Kemp just had a great game. 2 for 3, a walk. He made a great play on defense. And then he had Julia Morales set him up.
Yeah, that's just, right. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, let me get right back to you, Julia. As Jake Marisnick grounds out for the first out in the inning. What do you have to add to welcome to the show?
Yeah.
Well, to add to that, you know, I asked Kemp, did he have his big league moment? Because everyone does. Everyone has that story where they stop and think, okay, I'm really here. And he said when he was running out to left field, he looked up and saw the names of Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, and thought, wow, this is really it. But he also said when they got me with Gatorade afterwards, this is real. This is really happening.
Yeah, they don't waste Gatorade down in the minor leagues, do they? That stuff gets put in the cooler for the night and brought back out tomorrow, I think. Hit to shortstop as Tony Kemp speeds down the line. A couple of ground ball outs here in the inning, and it's what Jeff Blum's been talking about, Julia Morales as well. This is Chris Sale just moving through a game. That quiet moment brought to you by Jeff Blum. 2 outs here in the inning. Jose Altuve at the plate. Jose lines one into left field. So Altuve, who had 3 hits last night, gets his first of the night, second for the Astros. And George Springer gets a chance to try to come up with a big swing.
With that knock, that'll give us a chance to look at our forward spray chart. Jose Altuve versus left-handed pitching. Not too many places you can go to try and get him out. It's a lot of red in that heat map on the left, where you see pretty much pulling or going up the middle against those left-handed pitchers. I think that's a tendency because a lot of those breaking pitches come back to the right-handed hitter.
11 straight hit in now by Altuve. There's the good swing you want from Springer. He has made some kind of defensive play tonight. If you joined in late in the first inning, he robbed Jose Abreu a certain home run to right field, and it was a twisting effort for George to get back there, but it's one of the game's absolute elite defensive players. On the ground to third. They'll get the force at second. 3 ground ball outs in the inning. That base hit by Altuve stranded. It's still 1-0 Chicago.
live in HD on over 400 supported devices with MLB.tv Premium, which includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Ash.
Thanks, Julia. To the bottom of the 6th inning we go. Top of the order for the White Sox. Adam Eaton at the plate. 0 for 2 against Colin McHugh. The White Sox have 2 hits. The Astros have 2 hits on the night. But one of those Chicago hits came with 2 outs to drive in Todd Frazier in the 2nd inning. That picked up by the DH Jerry Sands. So Colin McHugh has been really good tonight. He struck out the side in the 5th inning. 7 strikeouts tonight for Colin. Colin floats a changeup in.
2-0 changeup.
Seems like about every start for Colin McHugh, Julia's talking about the game plan to really insert more changeups. Last time out we saw it. Tonight not so much.
I thought you were going to say Julia just talks a lot.
That's your line. You got the official notes from the club.
It's almost as if Colin McHugh kind of hears Strami screaming from the dugout. Throw a changeup.
Little cutter line to center, and it gets over Marisnick. And now Sands around second base, and he's going to make it to third. And that is a very surprising play in center.
Well, extremely surprising. Jake Marisnick, a great center fielder. This ball was hit well off the bat of Adam Eaton. You see just to the left. Usually those ones hit right at you cause some issues, but that one just never came down and launched itself over Jake's head. Eaton can run too, right out of the box. Good effort to get on third base in this tight ball game.
Well, the White Sox trying to add to this 1-0 lead. I have not heard a ruling yet. Is that? No, we'll wait until we do. Either way, Eaton at third base. Nobody out. It is a triple for Adam Eaton. As the pitch hit in the air shallow into left field. Tony Kemp comes on, has to go down and make the play, but still able to keep Eaton at third base. So 1 out as Carlos Sanchez flies to shallow left.
Good play by Tony Kemp.
Got back up quickly.
Yeah, did you see where the throw went? Right to the cutoff man.
That's what you want to see.
Exactly. Good job charging in. Goes into that sliding stop. It comes up quickly and fires a strike to Luis Valbuena, who is the cutoff man. Adam Eaton was drifting off third base in the anticipation maybe that ball dropping. Good play.
We saw the infield in. It remains in now with 1 out. Jose Abreu at the plate, and that is not a desirable spot to be in if you're a third baseman or shortstop.
Not at all.
But in a game like this, when you're facing Chris Sale, really no option for A.J. Hinch. McHugh ahead in the count. Brings the high heat. It's 0-2. Well, if McHugh can find a way to get out of this frame, that'd be some magic here in the 6th inning. McHugh with that 0-2 pitch. Curveball, half swing, he goes through. Home plate umpire taking it. That's Adam Hamari in a big 2nd out. And now Colin McHugh will work with that infield playing back, as Adam Eaton with that leadoff triple remains at third.
How about that for Colin McHugh? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. 3-pitch strikeout of Jose Abreu.
And the job by Evan Gattis on top of that.
Yeah, blocked that breaking ball with 2 strikes and a runner on third base. Well done.
I think Evan Gattis has been up to the task. And the response to any of the questions is, don't worry about me. I'll be just fine back here. Todd Frazier now at the plate, 1 for 2 on his night.
This is great. That's a great comparison. That's Gus Sinski from The Love of the Game catching that perfect game for Kevin Costner. There you go. It's a solid call.
The 1-0 pitch. The high heat. Colin got Todd Frazier on strikes in the 4th inning by going up the ladder there.
Climate.
1-1 pitch. Yeah, this is a tough guy to get. A big RBI producer through the years.
A good guy to get. Melky Cabrera on deck. Good left-handed hitter today.
Little cutter for a strike. 2-2 the count.
Very nice. Showing a good mix too.
Boy, he has. I'd say the curveball has been kind of the go-to at times tonight, but he's had the fastball up to 91. The cutter.
Some late movement on that thing too.
Goes back up the ladder. 3-2 count. Melky Cabrera waits on deck. But once you get 2 strikes on a hitter, that's the guy you want to get. Fly ball hit to left. Tony Kemp is there. And Colin McHugh has worked some magic here in the 6th inning. The leadoff triple by Eaton. And he's stranded at third base. Great job by Colin McHugh. Still 1-0.
Astros LLC and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Houston Astros LLC.
Chris Sale has been really good on this moonlit night in Chicago. White Sox on top 1-0, and you can see on both sides just 3 hits for the White Sox, 2 for the Astros. And now the assignment to get Chris Sale. We're in the 7th inning. Carlos Correa leads it off, followed by Tyler White and Marwin Gonzalez. Chris Sale has picked up 4 1-2-3 innings on the night. Carlos Correa shatters the bat. He'll go get a new piece of lumber. Blummer right back on that previous half inning. How about the job by Colin McHugh after the leadoff triple?
Pretty special. He stepped up his game knowing he's coming into this matchup with Chris Sale. He kind of got pushed back up against that wall with the leadoff triple from Adam Eaton. But did a great job after that. A little flare. Strikeout of Jose Abreu and then a fly out from Todd Frazier. Not easy to go through that part of the order with a runner at third base. Nobody out.
That was the swing you're looking for from Carlos. Down in the count 0-2. And a strikeout up high with the heat again. 6 strikeouts now for Chris Sale.
First game of this series. Tyler White started doing some work. Looked a little ugly in that first at bat, but made the adjustment, came back strong, swinging some good pitches. Second home run of the night. Also added a double that third at bat, or fourth at bat, I apologize, third hit.
Yeah, that was an amazing turnaround night because, like you say, that first at bat looked like so many of the at bats we've seen in recent times. And yet, all of a sudden, he found the stroke. The 2 home runs just did get out to left field, but in the end, they count just as much as the bombs. Ball and a strike. That slider just sweeps on through, finds a piece of the dish. 1-2.
It looked like it went sideways for about 6 feet.
Look at that thing.
Look at it.
I did, and I was thoroughly impressed. How about you?
Indeed, I was.
It's hard to get to that pitch after seeing the sliders, the changeup that's been used tonight. Seven dingers, 18 RBIs on the year for Tyler. And now 2-2. Western Carolina University takes strike 3 at the knees, so Sale gets him looking. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 7 on the night for Sale, and with 2 outs, Marwin Gonzalez comes to the plate.
Show your support for our Cy Young Award winner by joining us this Sunday in Keuchel's Corner, presented by Houston Methodist. With this package, you get a ticket, beard, and a Keuchel's Corner t-shirt. For more info, visit Astros.com/Keuchel's Corner or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Had a nice chat with Dallas Keuchel today, and he feels like he's finding it. And he does feel it's really all about the command. Last couple of starts, he says he is now starting to feel like he's on the verge of being there.
That would be good news for Houston Astro fans to see him get back to normal.
And another candid conversation from a guy that hasn't had it go his way. Easy fly ball to right field. Adam Eaton makes the catch. A 1-2-3 inning. 5th time tonight turned in by Chris Sale. Through 6.5, 1-0 Sox.
Sox leading the Astros. It's time to announce who won our Chevy Stroh poll. We were asking you about nicknames. We've done this the last couple of nights. And tonight, Big Puma with the big win. That's not the only nickname he had, is it?
No.
No, a lot of people on Twitter know exactly what that other name was. And Lance, I might get a phone call from Lance if I bring it up. So I'm going to avoid that completely.
Yeah, he was not big on that.
No.
You know, I always liked Scrap Iron. I thought that was very apropos with Phil Garner. Just a good name. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. 1-0 White Sox. Melky Cabrera at the plate. Switch hitter hitting .296. Colin McHugh has been outstanding this evening. For the Astros in the pen in right field, Scott Feldman getting loose. Not surprisingly, it's quiet in the White Sox pen. Sharply hit ball. Nice play. Marwin Gonzalez will sprint to the bag and beat his man. And out number 1 here in the 7th.
Good play. Ball smoked. Marwin, a good athlete, plays all over the infield. Play a little outfield when necessary, but probably enjoys having a nice big first baseman's glove on.
I was wondering about that. Would you have been comfortable putting that on? I know you did on occasions.
Yeah, you know what I would do is the first round of ground balls I would take in batting practice on the day before I go out there and play first base is I would go to take that first maybe 6 ground balls and shove it completely halfway into the dirt because I was so used to using a glove that was half that size.
You know, I didn't even think in that sense. Was that an effort on your part to make sure your glove stayed down with your regular glove?
Well, with the regular glove, I had to get down because it was half the size of a first baseman's glove. So I knew my natural instinct was to get down, get the glove on the ground to make that fielding position work. And then I'd put that gigantic first baseman's glove on. I'd get in the same position and proceed to just jam it into the ground like a shovel.
Yeah. By the way, with Jimmy Rollins at the plate batting left-handed, we do see the shift for the Astros. Colin McHugh with the 1-2 count. Little dribbler, and that's going to be a base hit. There is just nothing to do with that as Colin chases it down. Hit number 4 for the White Sox as it rolls about 91 feet.
Just bad luck right there. Looked like Jimmy Rollins spun off another curveball and was able to just nub it down that third baseline.
Speed aboard with 1 out. And the DH Jerry Sands at the plate, the only man to have driven in a run here this evening.
This might be an opportunity to see Evan Gattis's arm. Jimmy Rollins still has decent wheels. I'm sure in this 1-run game, Robin Ventura would like to see him get into scoring position.
How much would the White Sox in their scouting report talk about that fact? Tonight we're facing a guy who hasn't been behind the plate this season.
I think you want to challenge guys that haven't been back there in a while. But you got to make sure you pick the right moment too. We're deep into this ball game and it's tight.
Strike is called. 0-2 the count. Jimmy Rollins, by the way, has stolen just 3 on the season, but on his career 468 stolen bases. He topped out. Let's see if we can. Led the league back in 01 with 46. He goes, pitch a ball, and the exchange not made by Gattis, so it's a stolen base for Rollins. Second stolen base of the night for Chicago.
Well, something that I didn't take into account is the exchange. It's been a while since he tried to do that too, but that was a tough pitch, a curveball down in the dirt.
Actually, watching That first look, I didn't see the ball in the dirt. Gaddis has had next to no chance on the 2 stolen base attempts tonight.
You got to give credit to the White Sox base runners who've stolen those bases because they have picked great pitches to go on. It makes you wonder. Evan Gaddis hasn't caught in a while. You wonder if he's covering up those signs or if those base runners at first base are able to lead off and peek in and see what pitches are coming, because both stolen bases have come on pitches that have been in the dirt.
Did you watch base runners to see if they were picking up signs? And
me personally, no.
Yeah.
But I did. When I ran the bases, I didn't steal a lot, but I wanted to know when a breaking ball or off-speed pitch was coming so I could possibly anticipate ball in the dirt.
Just inside, it's 2-2. Were you one of those guys on bases? And some guys do it really well. Is you watch the ball come out of the hand of the pitcher and you know almost instantly if it's off speed, if it's in the dirt, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what they teach you. That's what spring training is for, to go out there and practice reading balls in the dirt.
Base hit into left field. So Sands has a second hit on the night, and the White Sox have runners at first and third. 1 out. And the 9-hitter Alex Avila at the plate, a guy that you can hope to get the ground ball for the double play with. By the way, watching the arm of Tony Kemp in left field, it would appear he's not blessed with a strong throwing arm, but accurate to the cutoff man.
And the ways you can make up with that is by charging that baseball aggressively to get it soon. Well, remember, second baseman by trade, now moving to the outfield.
Scott Feldman continues to loosen in the Astros pen. That is, well as Colin McHugh has been able to pitch tonight, it's hard to take him out in a jam that he's created. In the air to left field. Kemp back, he'll make the catch. Tagging and scoring without a throw from third base is Jimmy Rollins. And on that sac fly, it's now 2-0 White Sox.
Solid AB by Alex Avila on a night where it's been tough to come across some runs. Runner on third base, less than 2 outs. Just look for something you can drive to the outfield. He got a fastball away, went with it. Playing deep enough for Jimmy Rollins to score.
Go now, Sands at first base. Austin Jackson at the plate, 0 for 2. Colin McHugh has steadily gotten ahead in the count most of the night. Fly ball to right. Springer moves to the line. Puts it away, and that'll do it. But the White Sox come up with a precious run in the inning and lead it 2-0. Houston Astros baseball on Root Sports is presented by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Last night, the Windy City this year for the Astros. 2-0 Chicago. We go to the 8th inning. Evan Gattis will lead it off. Got a base hit in the second. Hits one high and deep left center field. This one back. And see ya. Evan Gattis has launched his second home run here in the series. And the Astros finally get on the board. It's 2-1 now in the 8th.
I thought he was in there for defense.
There you go.
Kidding me? Get that right-handed bat in there. Swung it well when he went down there to Corpus Christi. Get those catching muscles in shape. Got some of those swinging muscles in shape too.
It's 5 home runs allowed by Chris Sale on the season. Young man is strong.
Colin has no respect for the home run. He's talking pitching right now.
Just like a pitcher, huh? Oh yeah, I hear you hit a long ball, but
that's great.
What about that pitch last inning? Yeah, that shows you how big the run picked up in the 7th for the White Sox turns out to be right now in the game. Valbuena gets tied up, pops it on the right side. Second baseman Sanchez makes the play. 1 out.
Look at that home run swing from Gattis. Might have been the changeup at 89 miles an hour, but stayed back nicely. Got out and around it and drove it in that left center field gap into the bleachers. Strong man.
That is not an easy pitch to turn that direction. 1 out, a run in. Jake Marisnick at the plate, 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Takes just under the knees. Right on the hands. And back to the seats on the right side. 90 pitches for Chris Sale.
It's a 5th home run this season Chris Sale has given up. All of his home runs he's given up have been to right-handed hitters.
Sale in his last outing. A complete game job against the Yankees. Needed just 99 pitches. He's in the 8th inning with 1 out. And pitch number 92 is lined right to Rollins at short. And we check in with Julia again.
Thanks a lot, Ash. Tonight's Name That Astro is presented by your local Honda dealer. We have some clues for everyone. We want you to give us your best guess. Who is this Astro? Father and brother played in the majors, a 2003 All-Star, and had the series-winning home run in Game 7. Nothing?
I got nothing right now.
Crickets.
Ground ball hit on the left side. Rollins with a nice play to get Kemp. And that'll do it. The leadoff home run by Evan Gattis is all the Astros can do. But they put a run on the board. It's now a 1-run game once again. Evan Gattis flexing here this evening.
2, Astros 1. Been a well-pitched game, and this pitching performance is powered by Kubota. Colin McHugh had a tough matchup tonight going up against the great left-hander of Chris Sale. But he matched up with him quite nicely, actually. Doing a good job mixing his pitches. Good fastball cutter combo going. Also had the breaking ball to put away a couple of these White Sox hitters. And location with that fastball gave him the ability to use that cutter and curveball to put away 8 White Sox hitters via the strikeout.
And now for the Astros, Scott Feldman is on the hill. He'll work the 8th inning and brings a strike. Adam Eaton showing bunt. It was Eaton who hit that line drive to center field that got over Jake Marisnick, turned into a leadoff triple in the 6th inning. But what a job for Colin McHugh to get out of that frame with no damage. But the White Sox then added 1 in the 7th inning. Feldman gets that first out on a ground ball to Altuve. 1 down as it brings up Carlos Sanchez. And for the Astros in the 9th inning, it's the top of the order. Altuve, Springer, and Correa against Chris Sale. Sanchez 0 for 3 on the night as Feldman finds the strike zone.
With a 94-mile-an-hour heater.
You know, out of the bullpen, he's been throwing hard. That arm has really come to life for Scott. Julia, once again, what you got?
I actually asked Feldman about this yesterday, and first of all, he said Brent Strom is a mechanical mastermind, and he wanted me to get that on the air somehow. So we'll give Stromy some love, but he did talk about how his front leg dictates well, I can't speak to it, but it dictates the speed of his throwing arm. And so he's been trying to put that leg down, that foot down a little bit faster, and it's created a little bit more velocity for him. But he's feeling pretty good out there out of the pen.
We will dictate for you, Julia.
Thanks.
As Sanchez is down on strikes, so Scott Feldman. With the work with Brent Strom able to get the strikeouts. 2 outs here in the inning. Houston Methodist brings us our league leaders.
Lowest ERA in the first 2 seasons with the team after being acquired off waivers, which is rare. Rarely do you find it, these gems, and Will Harris is one of those guys. 1.59 the last 2 years.
That's with a complete season and now a quarter season in. A little flare by Abreu as he falls behind in the count.
It's another ex-Astro on there, Scott Linebrink. He ended up pitching here with the Chicago White Sox. Had a great career.
Boy, Liney coming out of the pen when he first came on, he could light it up pretty well.
He could bring the noise.
Ball and a strike. Trying to get through this 8th inning, just down 1 run. But it's a tough assignment. Again, the top of the order for the Astros coming up. David Robertson, he's the closer. I can't imagine them turning to the closer to start the 9th inning. Can you?
I don't know if Chris Sale is going to appreciate that. Could be one of those situations where they let Chris Sale go out there if they get a base runner on. Then Robertson comes in.
You know, a lot of guys that are ace type pitchers, and Chris Sale is certainly that, don't like seeing somebody loosening in the pen behind them. That pitcher's endeavor to constantly stretch the forearm and the fingers. Fly ball hit to right center field. Tough play. Springer gets there. Actually got there much more easily than it initially looked like. 1-2-3 8th inning for Feldman. To the 9th we go. Down a run.
4-pack starting at only $70. The special package includes 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and a Lot C parking pass. Get your Kroger Family 4-pack by visiting Astros.com/value or calling 1-877-9-ASTROS. Time to answer tonight's Name That Astro presented by your local Honda dealer. Here were your clues. The guys in the booth had no idea who this was. Aaron Boone is our Name That Astro.
I should have certainly known. I played against his dad for a long, long time. Bob Boone, great catcher.
I played with Booney that year. He was an Astro, and it did not get off to the start that Aaron Boone wanted to have as an Astro. He had to announce in spring training that he was going to have open heart surgery, and went through the process and actually made it back by the end of the season to have about 13, 14 at bats. And it was truly remarkable to be there when he was going through all that, and to have him get on the field and have that at bat towards the end of the season was incredible. And what a great guy.
You know, and I've heard you tell that story, and for some reason I never think of Aaron Boone as having been an Astro, but what an amazing story. Here we go to the 9th inning. Jose Altuve leading it off. Has a 1-2 count now. Chris Sale gunning for a 3rd complete game already on the season.
His career high in complete games is 4. He got that back in 2013.
2-2 on Altuve.
He's going to have to go through the toughest part of the Astros lineup.
Altuve 1 for 3 on the night. Sale already has a shutout this season. Won't get one of those tonight, and the Astros would love to break all of it up. But down on strikes, Altuve offers on a pitch, maybe up and away. Out number 1.
Just like we promised earlier in tonight's game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And there was a big moment in that first inning. Jose Abreu with the play, drove one to right field, and George Springer twisting and turning as he headed back to that chain link fence here at US Cellular, made an unbelievable catch, taking away what could have been another run and home run. Absolutely incredible play by George Springer.
8 strikeouts now for Chris Sale. 1 out here in the 9th inning. George Springer comes in having hit safely in 7 straight, and he'll make it 8 as he lines a single into left field. So a 9th inning 1-out single for Springer. Speed aboard. Carlos Correa coming to the plate.
And what that knock does, takes the winning run to home plate right now in the form of Carlos Correa. Good job staying through that changeup.
The Astros lead the league in stolen bases, and you wonder, might that aspect of the game come into play here?
It's going to be tough with the lefty on the mound.
Foul down the right side. Looked like Correa was taking the big hack toward right.
A pretty good pitch to try and do that with, too.
The Astros do have 38 stolen bases. They've been caught 13 times. Yeah, it's a risky time to run, but if you make it, it's big. But I guess when you've got Correa at the plate, you want to let him get his swings.
Just takes one mistake. He's already made one to Evan Gattis. He launched it into the left center field stands.
I wonder if Sale even regards that as a mistake, because it was off the outside corner. Very tough pitch, but Evan Gattis so strong. Ball and a strike here on Correa. Extremely well pitched game. Correa gets under it. Pops it into shallow left field. Rollins called off now by Cabrera, who makes the catch. And that's 2 down here in the 9th inning. It'll bring up Tyler White. And now Robin Ventura, the manager, is going to come out to the mound. Any thoughts as to what Ventura might have to offer here?
You're doing a great job. I'm going to leave you in. Get this guy.
Go Ventura after that brief message.
I think it might have been, this is your last hitter. You can either finish it right here, and if you don't, I'm going to the bullpen. Maybe just a little extra incentive for Chris Sale.
Maybe so. Marwin Gonzalez waiting on deck. So it's down to Tyler White. Springer aboard at first. As Sale brings it. Big swing and a miss by Tyler. I wonder if there could have been anything about the type of pitch hit a couple of times the other night by Tyler White for the home runs. .104 on the pitch count. And Chris Sale has been well beyond this figure on the season. Tense in the Astros dugout. Likewise for Chicago as White takes a strike. Tough pitch, but it's 1-2.
Good luck with that.
Make that 0-2. Gets a piece on the slider.
Somehow.
If he didn't, that may have gotten a solid piece of one of his legs. Just one of the really tough pitchers in Major League Baseball. Once again, the 0-2. Strike three called. As Adam Hamari, the home plate umpire, says that slider found the outside corner, and that'll do it for the Astros in the 9th inning. They get a 1-out single by Springer and strand him. And Chris Sale, a third complete game on the season as the White Sox managed to win one in this 3-game series.
Playing to Win is brought to you by Toyota Tundra. Pretty easy choice tonight. Chris Sale did a fantastic job against his Houston Astros lineup. Had 3 pitches working extremely well in the zone, just off the edges of the zone. Fastball, slider, changeup. That one run he gave up was a home run to Evan Gattis, but no walks, 9 punch-outs in the complete game for Chris Sale.
We mentioned the 3rd complete game on the season, 11 now on the career of Chris Sale. He is extra special on the hill. That'll do it. The White Sox win it tonight, 2-1 over the Houston Astros.